So this is Radio 2, and it's the 19th of December, and today is the day when it does feel as though Christmas really starts. There are some moments, for some families it's when the grandparents arrive or when school breaks up, but here on this show it's when Rick Wakeman turns up, says ho 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 to a few people and plays us some tunes at the Elton John piano. Hello Rick, how are you?
Very well indeed, and for some families it's when the grandparents leave. Just with my grandchildren, I think.
Is that right?
Grandpa Grumpy, time he went.
I was just explaining the confession to Rick, and if anyone follows Rick on Twitter, he'll know that Brussels sprouts and things like that is something that he regularly tweets about. So we're going to steer away from that, if that's okay.
Absolutely correct.
Have you had a good year, Rick?
I've had a fantastic year. It's been a lot of fun, incredibly busy with sort of the S. Sanderson, Rabin, Wakeman stuff, plus the solo piano shows, and plus the various events I get involved in with Animals Asia and my Moon Bears and the like, which is fantastic. It's been a real mixture. It's been wonderful.
So you're not slowing down at all then?
Well, I keep saying I will, but it doesn't look like it for another year. I think genuinely when I'm 70, which is a year and a half's time, May the 18th, if you want to send me a card,
yes.
In 2019, I am going to definitely slow it down.
We don't want you to slow down. We want you to be healthy, but we don't want you to slow down.
Yeah, well, that's it. I want to get myself really healthy, and I love playing, and I'll always play. I can't ever see myself not playing or not doing music.
How's the Elton John piano sounding?
It's sounding as good as ever. I mean, it's really good. It's a great Yamaha piano. I used to have one.
Give us a Christmas chord. Is there a Christmas chord or a
Christmas chord?
A chord sequence that you think would...
Well, a lot of Christmas chords, it's the chiming of bells, I suppose, does it a lot. Which is sort of, people think of that as
there you go.
Christmas.
No, that's very good. So we asked people to send in their suggestions for what they'd like to hear you to play. And then we pass them on to you, and then we've got a little bit of a short list. So why don't we just work our way through this and see what happens. So this, I think, was chosen by the most number of people. So Ray Harvey, Linda Cowie, Sandra Oxley, Claire Hampson, Sue Mormon, John Willits from our Facebook page, among many others. And Floyd Waters says, I've been fortunate enough to see Rick twice this year. Sadly, couldn't make it to the Keith Emerson concert, but I believe in Father Christmas would be a fitting tribute to the wonderful Greg Lake, who unfortunately lost 7th of December last year. Please, Rick, this would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked this, especially because he nicked Prokofiev's Troika for the end, which I really, really love. So,
did you not credit it?
No. It's just... There you go. There you go.
Okay.
But here we go.
All right. That's the sound of 8 hands clapping. But in this respect, we are representing the country, Rick.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you, sir.
So, that's in a way that's a perfect tune for you because it's a combination of a pop song with classical music, which is something that you've always done anyway. Yeah,
it's something that I was very lucky when I was at the old RCM, Royal College. I had a professor, sadly no longer with us, called Professor Philip Cannon, who used to teach me orchestration, and he used to give me exercise of taking the music of a composer and then doing variations on it of your own to create your own style, or doing it in somebody else's style. And so I've got a lot to thank him for the way that I sort of get hold of tunes and play them. And it's not contrived. It's just the way that I play, if you know what I mean.
So here's another suggestion. Hans Ermers, St Elmo Boyce, Andrew Clayton, and this email from Karen McLeod in Aberdeen. Simon, I wondered if you could ask Rick to play Oh Holy Night, as I think if Rick were to play it, it would sound even more magical. Thank you very much and happy Christmas. P.S. Could you possibly ask Rick, I think last year on your show, Rick said that he would be releasing a Christmas album. Any plans for that? Is it happening next year? What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, I'm going to do a Christmas piano portraits for next year. To be brutally honest with you, there just wasn't time this year. It really has been sort of hectic and non-stop, and I don't like rushing things. I like, there's at my age there's no point in rushing. Just take your time and make sure it's done properly. So we're going to do a piano portraits for next Christmas.
Okay. So Oh Holy Night, what do you make of this piece of music?
Okay,
here we go.
And your little Christmassy bit at the end. I thought I'd throw those little Christmassy... I'm glad I did it now.
That was a personal highlight. Hey, Rick, I had a bit of a revelation today because I went to see the new Star Wars film for the second time.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it enormously. And it occurred to me halfway through that Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker, looks just like you. And there's a certain there is a certain kind of Jedi feel to the way you look, I'm thinking. And also, you both wear capes.
That's very true, actually.
Although you wore a cape first.
I did wear a cape before him, so maybe I was a Jedi before he was. God, I must tell my grandchildren that you think I'm a Jedi. They'll love that.
I just think you look a little bit like Mark Hamill. But just briefly, 1977, so Star Wars comes out. Where are you?
I was in Chicago with Yes, and there was a big thing in America that all the cinemas had to show it simultaneously for the very first time. And a guy came to the concert in Chicago, who was the manager of a huge cinema in Chicago. And he was a massive Yes fan. And afterwards, he took us back to the cinema, opened it up, got us all in there, and we sat down the night before the general release and watched Star Wars, just the band and the crew in a line. And we were just blown away. I mean, it was so far ahead of its time.
Wow.
So I didn't recognise myself at the time.
Did you not? Well,
no.
At the I'm not sure whether that would have worked in 77, but certainly in 2017. So next suggestion here for an all-requester here. An email from Nick. He's on his own here, but he says, be good to hear Rick playing a Rootin' Tootin' Santa Claus. Tennessee Ernie Ford did a version of this, and so did Pee Wee King. But what would Rick make of it? So what does Rick make of it?
Well, Rick was bewildered by it, really. I mean, I sort of looked it up on YouTube, and it's and I realised why I'd never heard of it before. It's interesting. It's a fun little thing. But the trouble is, and I'll probably end up doing it now, is when you get sort of halfway through, you tend to want to go into Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Well, why don't you do that?
Yeah, it'll probably happen. So.
Okay, so this is a Rootin' Tootin' Santa Claus, unknown to everybody in the world apart from Nick and Pee Wee King and Tennessee Ernie Ford. Okay. Rootin' Tootin' Santa Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
You'll probably never ever hear it again.
Never ever heard that. It's singular play. Now, from our Facebook page, Susie Curtis, Patricia Van Oz, Gillian Chapman, Susan Fletcher, an email from Billy in Anglesey, and Ian as well. And here's Val Lowe on the email. Simon, I would love to hear In the Bleak Midwinter, the Holst arrangement. It's a beautiful carol. It reminds me of my dad, who passed a few years ago at this time. Happy Christmas. I think In the Bleak Midwinter is one of the great tunes, isn't it?
It is, and it's very adaptable. You can do so many different versions of it. The Holst version, I mean, I do know. I mean, strangely enough, it's a bit jazzy for me. I mean, it's got a lot of. So I tend, when I hear that, to wait for the elevator to stop to get out. So I do apologise. It is a great version, but it sounds better when it's orchestrated than it does on the piano. But you can do a sort of a wakey version of it, which sort of works.
That's beautiful. And I thought, and round of applause. I thought you weren't going to play it there for a minute, but then you pulled it out of the bag there, Rick. I thought that was beautiful. It's an All Request Christmas from Radio 2. Bob Smith on this email in Bath. Could you ask Rick to play my favourite carol, which is Ding Dong Merrily on High, or alternatively, the traditional In Dulci Jubilo, please? So we've marked this as Ding Dong / In Dulci Jubilo. So does that mean you're going to combine the...
I
or
can
do either or?
Oh, let's have a little look, see what I can do here. The thing about In Dulci Jubilo, it's been done in so many different versions and so many different ways. And to make it actually go into Ding Dong Merrily is not... It doesn't naturally flow.
Rick, you can do whatever you want.
OK, in that case, it'll work.
It's it's Christmas when Rick is here at the piano, just working his way through a fine catalogue of Christmas songs as chosen by you, and we're out of time again. But I just want to squeeze this one in because an email from Martin, who's I imagine been following your work for a while, Rick, because he wants you to blend or meld. He says A Glimpse of Heaven, which is an old Strawbs track from a few decades back, with Once in Royal David City. So again, never heard. I don't even know if that is physically possible, but
well, they're in different keys, but it doesn't matter.
You'd like me to cough? If you point at me, I'll cough, and then you can.
Well, if I start coughing, I haven't got a clue what's going on. But I'll have a quick go for you.
All right. Glimpse of Heaven by the Strawbs, Once in Royal David City. Rick, fantastic as ever. Thank you very much indeed.
Oh, thank you very much
Christmas
for
has actually started, I think.
Yeah, so Christmas wouldn't be the same without coming here and doing this, really. I look forward to it every year. And you were late asking me this year, and I thought, I'm not going to get invited.
You're invited every year.
Bless you, thank you.
Rick, thank you very much indeed. It's Radio 2, and do some travel after this.